Hello everyone, welcome to MMA at Midnight. I'm your host Shant Yeretzian. In this week's episode, we're going to preview Bellator 199, Ryan Bader versus King Mo, and we're also going to preview UFC 224 from Rio, which is Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington for the women's 135-pound belt. So let's get started with the Bellator 199 preview first. We'll start with the main event. We got Ryan Bader versus King Mo. This should be an interesting fight. I think King Mo's very underrated. You know, a lot of people, like the hardcore MMA fans, wanted to see him in the UFC for a while. He's had a rocky road back and forth depending on his opponent, you know, like his losses to Emmanuel Newton. But he's still one of those top guys, great competitor. He can win any fight, so don't count him out of this fight. Even though Bader's doing really good, he's on a 4-fight win streak. He's the light heavyweight champ right now. Don't count King Mo out. I'm expecting King Mo to put on a really good fight. He's still got explosive punching power, knockout power. He's fast, explosive, you know, great wrestler. So he has a lot of the same qualities that Bader has, but I think he's going to be a little more quicker. So let's see how that plays out. That should be an interesting fight. In the co-main event, we have John Fitch versus Paul Daly. This is going to be a pretty good match, I think, because Paul Daly, you know, he's had that beef with Koscheck in the past in the UFC, where he threw that late punch after the fight was over. You know, he's been wanting to kind of get that one back, you know. So John Fitch being a former teammate of Josh Koscheck at AKA. So this should be good. John Fitch is on a 4-fight win streak with wins over like Okami, Jake Shields. So he's doing pretty good. He's got like that smothering wrestling style. If you guys haven't seen him, he's been around forever. People might not say he's the most exciting fighter, but he's definitely dominant in there. You know, when he takes guys down, he really controls them. So let's see if Paul Daly can keep it on the feet and get that knockout that he's looking for. In his last fight, he got that knockout over Lorenz Larkin, which was really impressive. So let's see if Paul Daly can keep that one going with those knockouts. We also have Czech Congo versus Javi Ayala, a heavyweight bout that we have on the main card. Czech Congo, he's doing pretty good. He's on a 5-1 in his last 6 fights, but 3 of them were split decisions. We all kind of know Czech Congo hasn't been like the same the past few years. He's not as exciting as he used to be. Before, he was very much like a stand-up fighter, kickboxer. Now he really utilizes his wrestling, his ground game. You know, it's intelligent, but some of the fans might not agree with it or might not be as fan-friendly because he does get a lot of decisions. Javi, he's coming off that loss to Roy Nelson in his last fight, so there's no shame in that. And before that fight, before the loss to Roy Nelson, he KO'd Sergey Kharitonov, which is, you know, you guys know from Pride, great all-around sambo guy, striker. He's done K1 kickboxing. So him knocking out Sergey, that was impressive. Let's see what he can do against Czech Congo. He's going to have to try and keep it on the feet, you know. Czech Congo, he's got that, such a big dude. His wrestling is dominating. So if Czech Congo wants to kickbox him, I think this would be an amazing, exciting fight. If not, Javi, I think he should try and sprawl, try and land a big shot on Czech Congo. You know, Czech Congo's chin does have some mileage on it, even though he is tough as hell. You remember that Pat Barry fight where he was rocked? You know, he was like out on his feet, and he came back and knocked out Pat Barry. So anything can happen in that fight. Tune in for that. We also have Aaron Pico making his 4th MMA pro debut, pro fight, his 4th MMA pro fight against Lee Morrison. Aaron Pico, you guys know there's been a lot of hype around him. Top-level wrestler, junior Golden Gloves champion. He's doing really good. He's on a 2-fight win streak. He's lost his debut to Zach Freeman, but he's been doing good since. He's got those 2 knockouts. Lee Morrison is 19-8. This dude's been around for a while. He's got, you know, a lot of fights, amateur fights too. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He's got 2 heel hook wins. So look for him maybe to like try and snag up a leg of Aaron Pico's or something. You know, this guy, if he's got 2 heel hook wins, he might be really good with these leg locks. So this is going to be another tough test for Aaron Pico. You know, so young in his MMA career, and he's fighting guys with like huge like records, like who've had tons of fights. So let's see how he deals with the adversity and the pressure of having a veteran in there. He's done really good so far, so let's see if he can keep that going. I think he got over that hump in that first fight with Zach Freeman, and let's see if he's going to keep this momentum going on that win streak. To wrap up the main card, we got Adam Piccolotti taking on Carrington Banks. Carrington Banks is 7-0, undefeated, so he's a young prospect you want to keep an eye on. He's been doing good. Adam Piccolotti, he's 9-2, and he lost his last 2 fights, but they're against pretty high level competition. Goichi Yamauchi, you guys know that guy's awesome. He's an amazing fighter, and he lost to Dave Rickles, was just a tough veteran. It's a tough fight for anybody. So let's see if Adam Piccolotti can get off that 2-fight losing streak, or see if Carrington Banks can stay undefeated and keep that going and keep rising. Also, some of you kickboxing fans, Muay Thai fans, on the prelims, Gaston Bolanos is fighting, so some of you guys might be familiar with him if you watch any of his Muay Thai or kickboxing. Okay, let's get started with let's move on to the UFC 224 in Rio with Amanda Nunes taking on Raquel Pennington. In the main event, we'll start with that first. Amanda Nunes hasn't lost since 2014. She's been on a tear these past few years, being champ, knocking out Ronda Rousey, just destroying opponents. She's very powerful, great striker, dominant. She dominates her opponents. I think that's what's most impressive about her. She's one of those cyborg type figures. When she just rolls in there, she just bullies her opponents around and just smashes them. So that's going to be interesting what she does against Raquel Pennington, because they call her Rocky for a reason. It's not just her name, but she's like Rocky. She can take a beating and still come forward and still be dangerous in the fight. So look for Raquel Pennington to. She's going to be tough. I don't think she's going to give in. But Amanda Nunes, she does her dominance in the fight, her pressure, her power. It can overwhelm opponents. So let's see what happens. Rocky is one of those people that doesn't get overwhelmed, but anything can happen with a top level fighter like Amanda Nunes pressuring you. Yeah, like I said, Rocky, she's doing great. 4-fight win streak, with names like Miesha Tate, Bethe Correia, Jessica Andrade. She's beaten a lot of good fighters. So let's keep an eye on that main event. That should be exciting. In the co-main event, we got Jacare Souza taking on Kelvin Gastelum. You guys know Jacare, amazing submissions, amazing conditioning, great shape, powerful striker. He's top-level jiu-jitsu. Kelvin Gastelum's a wrestler, but he's kind of fallen in love with the knockout, and I doubt he wants to go to the ground with a jiu-jitsu guy like Jacare. So look for this fight to stay standing up. Look for Kelvin to try and land a big knockout punch. Jacare's got amazing strikes too. He's coming off that KO win over Derek Brunson with the head kick and then finished him off with the punches. So this should be a great fight. I'm expecting it to be a stand-up. It might go to the ground. If it does, keep an eye on Jacare's submission game. So that should be interesting, guys. Tune in for that co-main event. I'm looking forward to that. On the third fight, we have Mackenzie Dern taking on Amanda Bobby Cooper. Mackenzie Dern, you guys know her, another jiu-jitsu player. She's been doing jiu-jitsu pretty much her whole life. Really good. She's 6-0 in her young MMA career. She's doing well. Her last fight, her UFC debut, she won by decision. It wasn't too bad of a performance, but you could see that she's still very green. She's a bit rough around the edges. And I think ABC is going to be a good test for her. Amanda Bobby Cooper, she doesn't have the best record, 3-3, but she's been, she's fought a lot of top women. She was on The Ultimate Fighter. Last fight she beat Angela Magana by TKO with punches. So this should be a tough test for Mackenzie Dern, because Amanda is she's a tough fight. She might, like I said, she doesn't have the best record. She's not the best fighter, but she's been around the game, and I think this is going to be a good test for Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern missed weight yesterday, so I don't know how much that's going to play a part, how much she drained herself, because she missed it by a lot. So I don't know if she just gave up, didn't want to drain herself knowing she's not going to make it, or if she drained herself and that's how close she got. So let's see how she looks in there, how her cardio is. Only way I see Mackenzie Dern winning this is by another decision just squeaking by, or it's going to be her getting a submission. If not, I think Amanda Bobby Cooper will be able to if she can keep it on the feet, strike with her, I think she can beat her up, maybe get a finish. We'll see what happens. Keep an eye on that fight as well. In the next fight, we have Brian Kelleher taking on John Lineker. You guys know John Lineker, great punching power, knockout power. He's 7-1 in his last 8 fights. This guy's a killer, and the only loss that one loss was against TJ Dillashaw. So there's no shame in losing to TJ. Exciting fighter. You know, he's always had issues with making weight and things like that. So a lot of people kind of threw him on the back burner. But don't forget, this guy's a killer. He's taking on Brian Kelleher, who's coming off that decision win over Renan Barao, which was impressive. So he's really stepping up his game, and this is going to be another tough competition for him. So let's see how Brian Kelleher does against John Lineker. And also, to kick off the main card, we have Vitor Belfort taking on Lyoto Machida. This is going to be a fight. You know, 2 legends, 2 guys have been around for a while, strikers. So this should be a good fight. Vitor, he's coming off that decision win over Nate Marquardt. It wasn't nothing like impressive. He's had a few KO losses lately. You know, Vitor just hasn't looked the same in years. You know, since TRT Vitor, we haven't really seen him look good at all. He's rolling around like out on like media day this week, like wearing a bathrobe and his pajamas. It's pretty much that told me that the state of mind that Vitor is in. He's already like checked out. He's already in retirement. Like, this dude's already ready to just sit on the couch and like feel bad for himself. It's kind of sad. You know, a lot of these fighters go through it. They've taken a lot of like shots over the years, you know, brain damage. It's really sad to see him at this point in their career. So I understand when people say fighters should hang it up, because he's pretty much already ready to just like sit on the couch, be bored, and not know what to do with himself, like just rolling around in his bathrobe and PJs everywhere. So that's kind of sad, you know. I hope he doesn't fight like that, because he's kind of looked like that lately in his fights. Like, he's just kind of checked out already. If he's like that, Machida's going to crush him. You know, Machida, he's still hungry. You know, he hasn't had the best luck lately, you know, in his fights and his record, but he's hungry. Machida, you know him. He's coming there determined. He's in a strong state of mind always. He's mentally strong. I'm looking for Machida to knock out Vitor in this fight. I think that's what's going to happen. Vitor just doesn't seem like he's all there. You know, Machida's coming off that split decision win over Eric Anders. You know, it was nothing like too impressive. So, you know, I'm looking for him to make a statement. I think he's going to KO Vitor. Don't be surprised if he tries the front kick that Anderson landed, because he's landed on Randy for a knockout, a similar type of front kick, crane kick. So look for him maybe to throw one of those kicks on Vitor, try and crack him right in the chin. Yeah, so that should wrap up the main card. Definitely tune in for the Bellator 199 and the UFC 224. There's going to be a lot of good fights. It should be a fun weekend. There's also a Glory. There was other event too this weekend. Lots of good fights this weekend. I can't even think of all of them. There's so many. Tons of great events going on. You guys want to check out Fight Fans, enjoy it. And we'll see you for the post-fight special. See you guys. Bye.